Today we have on a pretty special guest. This is one of our last interviews. You may know him, but it's Mr. Jeffrey Luke Watson. And today we're kind of switching it up. We typically do the interviews at my house, but today we are doing it at his house in his front yard. So if you hear the ambient noise, just try to enjoy it.
Yes, I always enjoy it out here.
This is actually
we're beneath my tree right now.
Yep. He reads here.
I read here all the time.
From the hours of 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. most days.
Yes, and actually, he's kind of right. I used to in the summertime, and now I'm working, but that's what kind of was my schedule. Except I read a lot at night out here.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
There is some birds, but that's me, and I'm a natural kind of guy, so I think it's pertinent that there is a little bird in my interview. So, all right, well, yeah, I guess I don't have to do any introductions today because I'm the person being interviewed.
Yep.
So it's a little bit strange for me.
A little bit odd, yeah.
Well, very odd. So I'll just let Ethan take her away.
Yeah. Luke, where'd you go up?
I grew up right here in Hillsville, Virginia, Galax, Carroll County area. Mm-hmm. I was born at Twin County Hospital. What's strange about this one, kind of interrupt, is I know how I want people to answer the questions.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to answer how I would like it answered. Yeah, I grew up I was born at Twin County Hospital. I was raised in Galax in the Fox Run area for the first few years of my life. We moved from there because it was a nice area, but the yard was pretty small. And as a young boy, you want some yard space to run around and play in. So we ended up moving from there to Hebron up there, and we lived there for a short period of time. But that got me into the Gladeville Community and Elementary School. Mm-hmm. And that's where I ended up going from the time I was in kindergarten through 5th grade. So I went through elementary school all the way through Gladeville. I lived with my grandparents for a little while, and then I moved where I am today. We've been here for about 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in Carroll, and I'm thankful for that every day. I really am. I had a really good upbringing. I really did.
So you mentioned Galax, you mentioned Hillsville. Do you have a preference, Galax or Hillsville?
I've thought about that a lot, which is kind of strange. When I was up till the age of probably 12, or maybe even later, I would have always said Galax. Mm-hmm. Always Galax. But going to middle school in Hillsville, going to high school in Hillsville, and running through it every day for 4 years, I love them both. I consider both to be my home. It's kind of funny when I'm outside of the area. When people ask where are you from, I'll switch it up.
Yeah.
I'll say Hillsville. I'll say Galax, Hillsville. So I say both. Sometimes I'll just say the Carroll County area. Mm-hmm. But I consider both to be my home. And the cool thing about Galax and Hillsville is they're very connected.
Yeah.
He never does this. I don't know what's in him today. But they are very connected. The Twin County area. So I consider both to be my home. And they're both very different. Mm-hmm. Galax has your more cultural scene, more, I don't know.
It's a city.
Yeah,
and it's obvious.
It just has its own different vibe, and Hillsville's more homey. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoy that. But yeah, I consider myself to be from both of them.
Okay, equal. So we've asked this a few times. We asked Coach Tickle this question first. What is your earliest memory?
My earliest memory. I've thought about this.
In preparation, I'm sure.
Not in preparation. I thought about this when I've asked. We were in Galax at my Fox Run house. And I had to have been about 3 years old. And my grandpa was helping me put on my jeans before I left for the day. I remember putting one in leg at a time, and it kind of happened because I was small, so I had to be helped into my pants. So I remember that. It's almost like a snapshot. I can't really remember when it was, but I knew it had to have been during that time because I remember I was standing there, and the sun was coming in because there's like a big glass pane window above the door. So that's my earliest memory.
Do you ever go back to your old houses and look at them?
I living in this area, you drive by stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. But I've lived here for, over 10 years. This is a home to me. And but no, of course, I've driven by this house 1,000 times, but that is what it is. I don't really have any ties
you
to
don't
it.
really have strong emotional attachment over those houses?
No,
No.
no. I think I do this one
Yeah.
more. As I've gotten older, that's lessening. If you asked me when I was 10 or 11, absolutely. Home was everything. But as I get older and build relationships with people, I realize home is more where you feel at home. I feel at home here. This is my home. I don't want to get that. I feel at home here. But I feel more at home with people that I build those relationships with, like my family. Where they go will be home for me. Other people, where they go, that'll be home for me. So the physical attachment of the house is a lot less than it used to be. But if you asked me that question 4 or 5 years ago, I would say absolutely. But now it's not that way.
We know now, and we're skipping ahead a little bit in time, but we know that you're going to Virginia Tech,
Yes.
to Blacksburg in a few months. You're going to be gone, away. It'll be really the first time in your life that you've lived outside of Carroll County.
Yeah.
And you'll be close.
Yeah, I'll be close. It's local.
But you'll still be away.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to have any moments in your dorm at Virginia Tech where you're going to be homesick? Or do you think you'll be pretty well adjusted?
That's an interesting question. I think over the past year, I've grown a lot. I've been away from home a lot in the past year than I've ever had before, for different circumstances that are great, but have maybe more independent. Do I think I miss Carroll? Absolutely. I think I always miss Carroll. Will I feel homesick? I miss some of the people. That doesn't mean I can't just drive for 45 minutes to see them.
Yeah.
But some days that's not feasible. But I miss the people, and I miss the. Look at this right here. I'm looking probably 10 miles in the distance at a hill, and there's beautiful clouds and trees, and it's quiet. I think I'll miss that some. But if you ask me if I'll be in my dorm room and feel really homesick, I don't think so. I really don't. Because my roommate, I've grown up with him for 13 years. So that's like having a piece of home with you. The movie Dunkirk has a scene in it where when the British troops were cornered in France in 1940, and they got the British Expeditionary Force went in at the very beginning of the war, and they got pushed back by the Nazis, and Churchill sent a civilian fleet of boats, of fishing boats, and they evacuated 200,000 soldiers from France and took them back to England. And then 4 years later they took it back, but they were stuck there, and home came and they rescued them. And there's a movie called Dunkirk that was released a few years ago. It's a great film. You should check it out. But one of the soundtracks of that movie is "Home Came to Them," and I've always loved that. It shows that you can have a connection to home even when you're not there. I'll always be from Carroll County. Even if I lived on the other side of the world, it's an extremely important part of me, and in some part I'll always miss it. But I hope I'm not homesick. I'm very local, and I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I think with my roommate being from here, it'll be a much easier adjustment than otherwise.
Yeah, so that was something I was wanting to ask, but you kind of answered it for me. What was that decision process like, choosing a roommate instead of going random? Why'd you do that?
It's romantic in a non-romantic way. So don't get me wrong, but I know I've been really, really, really good friends. Some say best friends with this guy. I have a few best friends. You being one of them, him being one of them.
Thanks.
People that I've always had with me. I don't remember a time without him. So it's a person that's always been there, very familiar, who I've always had a really, really good time with. And we've had disputes.
Yeah.
And I know what makes him tick, and he knows what makes me tick. It's almost like a known evil. And I'd rather do something new and exciting with somebody that is special to me, that I'm very comfortable with. And there is some reasons from the question that you asked earlier about missing home a little bit. It's comforting to have a face you've seen every day for the past 13 years with you as you're moving away. So that's why. And I just want to have a good time with my friend. I think, I never would have imagined 13 years ago that I would be living with this person, Mr. Owen Ward, a great baseball player at Carroll High School, or was a great baseball player at Carroll High School. Graduated now. But yeah, just I thought it'd be fun and to build that relationship even further than it's already been built.
A lot of people will warn against rooming with someone you know because it'll destroy your relationship. Are you worried about that?
No, I'm not worried about that at all. I'm not worried about it because I think if you can sit down and be adults and talk about stuff and not act like a kid, because you are adults at that point. If you can sit there and if you've made it for so long already and you can't sit down and talk about what the problem is, I think, it wasn't meant to be to begin with. But if you can be adults about it and be roommates and grow up, then of course it's going to work out, I think. Unless there's something crazy happen, then, that just goes out the window. But I think just being mature and realizing that, you're not in school anymore and that you need to step up and act like an adult is very important. So I don't think that it's going to destroy the relationship at all. I think it's going to strengthen the relationship.
Do you see that relationship lasting outside of college?
I do. If our interactions ended in high school, we'd be friends, but I wouldn't have probably pursued, contact to the level I think I will at the end of college. Because living with somebody it's
different.
It's different,
yeah.
And I think that's going to increase that tenfold. So I do think I will keep contact with him outside high school. Because you seem to see people keep in contact with more of their college friends than high school friends anyways. So I think I will. But absolutely.
So let's look back. We've covered your future plans. We've covered kind of elementary school.
A few future plans. I think you can hit some more.
Yeah, oh, no. We'll go back for sure.
Yeah.
At least for the next 4-ish years, maybe.
Yeah.
What about middle school? What was that like for you? Because you had a pretty normal middle school experience up until the last year. And even then,
normal.
3/4 of the year was normal.
Yeah. Middle school. That's interesting. I absolutely loved elementary school.
Yeah.
I really, really, really enjoyed it. I always felt at home there. Like I mentioned earlier, when I was younger, I did have much more of an attachment to a building than I do now. So I was very sad to leave. I was excited, but I was sad to leave Layville. So I think that kind of affected some part of my 6th grade year. And some stuff happened personally that made that year tough too. My grandpa got sick during that fall of that year. My sister was born during the fall of that year. So there was a lot of distraction from school. I still made good grades, but it was a transitionary period anyways, a big transitionary period.
Yeah.
And my life outside of school was changing drastically as well. So that made it just more like a tumultuous year for me. I thought 6th grade was
Meh.
meh. I didn't enjoy it at all.
It's just like elementary school, except lockers and class switching.
Yes, I didn't enjoy that. 7th grade, started having a good time.
Yeah. You also started running that year.
Started running that year. That was huge for me.
Yeah.
That changed my life.
Let's talk about that.
It started this. It started pretty much everything I've gotten into. I owe to running. I can go through my middle school years and then loop back to that. But yeah, 7th grade is when I started really coming out. I've always been out of my shell. I've always been talkative. But it's when I really started to allow myself to become comfortable in my new environment and to take advantage of opportunities that were around me. Yeah, so I started running in that July. But I started that July, and that fall semester was a little bit stressful because I'd never played a sport before. And running with Pat Sharp, he expected a lot out of you physically. And I was physically demanded every single evening of that year. And I really became a good runner, I feel like, during that fall semester. It helped me with my academics. It it taught me how to work hard, really, and that still resonates to this day, and I'm forever thankful for that experience because it taught me how to take something that I might not want to do that day and do it for a long time, every day. And that teaches commitment, and that really helped me in my schoolwork that fall semester, and from that point. I had some good classes I really, really enjoyed my 7th grade year. Miss Dalton was wonderful. I had Mr. Andrews' class that year, which was my favorite classes from middle school. Randy Cauldell, Mrs. Goad, and others. I'm probably blanking on Miss Marshall, taught civics. And that was a very normal year. It's a very normal year. Nothing really crazy was going on. Personal life, I played sports. So I enjoyed my 7th grade year, especially towards the end of it. When you're about to go into 8th grade, it's like you feel more grown up. And then 8th grade came around, and I absolutely loved 8th grade. I really, really did.
A lot happens 8th grade. You have 2 to 3 high school courses you can take.
Yeah, and at that time I thought that was hot stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking a high school course. It's just kind of funny to look back on now.
Algebra 1, wow.
Yeah, shoot, algebra, which at the time was a big deal to me.
Yeah,
you can't have revisionist history there based on prior experience. I mean, it's funny to look back on, but you got to realize at that time it was a big deal.
Yeah, you just took calculus, but thinking back.
You're very young. Running in my 8th grade year, that was my favorite year of running I've ever done.
Yeah.
It was Pat Sharp's last year. Coach Sharp, you came.
Yep.
Funny story, we can tell this story here too. His first day of practice in July. He always had practice early July. It was like right after July 4th.
First week.
Yeah.
Almost.
So summer was still fully.
He was hot.
He was hot. He was still fully going. About halfway through summer vacation. And I was like, shoot, I really like the team from last year. And then there's this new kid that showed up, Ethan Edwards. And it was just me and you and Thomas Montgomery that day.
Yep.
And he ran by himself. It was just me and you. And even from then, it was kind of competitive a little bit.
Yeah.
And now you've become a great runner, outpaced me in the cross-country scene, but I remember vividly that day. I don't know, did we talk very much? I don't think we did.
A little bit, but I was suffering just a little bit.
Yeah.
So I didn't do a whole lot of talking. And we lifted before that too, so I was tired.
Yeah. I remember that. Did we become good friends by the end of that season?
Yeah, because during the long runs we would talk about books.
That's right.
And that's where it sparked, I think.
That's right. I remember that. But I think I was probably in one of the best shapes of my life.
I was, for sure.
I felt the previous year during cross country, I was really new. And that next year I was able to feel more confident and comfortable in where I was at. I knew Coach Sharp. Well, I liked Coach Sharp a lot by that point, and it was just great. And the same things happened. That year I really forged that deep personal connection to cross country that I still have to this day. It's because of that year. I met you that year. We became great friends. All that stuff happened. Went to state.
Yeah,
that year. I remember that day we qualified at Knights Crossing.
Yeah.
That was a great day. State was...
It was something.
It was something.
It was hot. It's crazy.
For those of you who don't know, was it VHSL?
I don't know. I just know it was middle school.
Well, they have a middle school state cross-country meet now. And me and Ethan both qualified for that, as well as a few other people. We went up there, and we rode with Coach Sharp. Yep. We stayed in the same room as Coach Sharp. Now, I was excited, but I was scared to death because me and you both really looked up to him.
Yeah.
We still do. But especially when you're younger, it's different. It's magnified. And I remember staying in that room with him. He was up late watching movies and stuff, and I couldn't sleep because I was so nervous for that meet the next day.
He was watching The Purge.
The Purge, yes, watching The Purge. And even the pool exploded and glass went everywhere, and he got mad. It was just a crazy weekend.
Yep.
But the actual state meet was terrible.
Yeah, it was so bad.
It was in November. It was supposed to be cool. It was like 80 degrees and humid. I was so glad when that race was over to go home.
Yeah.
So glad.
Yeah, it was something. The girls did really well.
Yeah.
Amy and Corey. We did not do so well.
No.
But it's okay. It was an accomplishment to be there.
I was just happy to show up and get the T-shirt. Once I bought the T-shirt, I was kind of ready to go home, which is not the mindset you should be going into a race with. But that winter, though, and will be an interesting little time of the episode. That winter, I remember hearing a little something about a COVID virus.
Yeah.
And you know me, I love the news. I've always been a big fan of the news. So I kept up with it when most people kind of forgotten about it. I'm happy to say I was earlier on the scene with it. And I thought there's something about to happen. You kind of feel there's an energy about it. So I called it before anybody else did. I'll say that publicly. No, I'm just joking. I was just watching CNN, but still, I was keeping up with it and being very vigilant as I went to the springtime. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget that week that we got out. All week it was kind of building up. Was it Thursday night the NBA shut down?
Yeah, something like that.
That's like, oh, this is very serious.
It's a big deal.
The world's going to change.
I think there's a Toronto Raptors game where a bunch of players got it, and then
because they stopped it in the middle of the game, and then they shut down the whole season that night. And so we went to Walmart like you should do, and when a global pandemic is breaking out, go to where everybody's at. And we went to Walmart, and everybody was there. Everybody I knew. And it was one of the craziest just experiences ever because everybody was running around, everybody was buying all sorts of crap. People were parked in the Arby's parking lot. It was that packed at Walmart. We was there for probably 4 hours buying stuff. It was like if a blizzard was coming in or something much bigger than that. And then the next day I said, well, we're going to get out. We're going to get out. And they was like, no, we're not going to get out. We're not going to get out. Well, I had signed up for the Department of Education email. And that's when back then we could still have our phones.
Yeah.
So about 2 o'clock that evening, I got an email. Schools are out for 2 weeks. I was like, well, holy crap. So I went into my teacher and showed her, and she ran down the hallway telling all the other teachers. So at that point, the year was done with. That was March 13th, Friday the 13th, which I always thought was interesting. And papers were flying. You were there.
Yeah.
Papers were flying everywhere. People were yelling. Scram teachers were yelling. And then we just came home.
Yep.
And
Didn't go back.
Quiet. It was like this. We sat outside like this. And I did that for the next 8 months. But yeah, COVID had a huge impact on me. Huge impact.
You were lucky in a way because you had a pretty normal middle school experience. That was something I feel like I lost out on. And I think it was kind of harmful to me. But you also suffered in a few ways because you had a pretty screwed up high school experience.
Yeah, I mean,
for the first part.
For the first part of it, because the first 2 years we wore masks. Yeah. Ninth and 10th grade. So half my high school experience was masked.
Yeah, and
strange.
I didn't really experience that my 9th grade year. We went back, no restrictions except for masks, and that was voluntary for half the year. If you wanted to wear it, you could. And I'm happy that I missed middle school instead of high school because I think high school is really important for a person. Mine was pretty normal.
There's two sides to look at that. You can look at it like you got your high school experience the normal way, which you did. I always thought it was kind of interesting to see both sides of it. Because the first part of it was very, very, very strange.
Yeah.
And the second part of it, I got to do everything normal like. So I'm kind of glad I got to see both sides of it. I remember only being in a class with 2 other people. Yeah. Just stuff like that, and going 2 days a week, and seeing that school in a whole different light when everything was going crazy was neat. But COVID was, I remember sitting here, and I read through all of Harry Potter again in like 3 weeks. I watched a lot of Star Wars. Yep. Had a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So I'll
be sure to find that and put it in the description.
Please don't. But I stayed outside for most of it. I did. I worked. I didn't realize that we didn't have to do our schoolwork. So I did everything. Yeah. But I was happy to do everything anyways because it gave me purpose, which is really important. It gave me a sense that there was still stuff going on besides this. But I really, it's hard to say because it was a terrible situation. And I was deeply affected by a death in my own family from COVID. That was absolutely terrible. That was crushing. People were sick. People were dying. People were suffering during the pandemic. People weren't able to see their loved ones, their significant others, their family. And some had to see them die. And it was a terrible national tragedy. It really was. But on a personal level, at least at the beginning part of it, towards the end of the pandemic, we had some personal tragedy. But at the beginning of it, I was just here. I got to read all day. I got to sit outside and enjoy springtime. I got to do some of my work, but I got it done fast.
Yeah.
I did some crazy stuff too. I stayed up for 40 hours straight watching movies. I stuck 2 stakes in my yard 20 feet across and tried to run a marathon barefooted. I got through 11 miles and my feet started bleeding, and Mom told me to stop because it wasn't a good time. I had to go to the doctor, which obviously. I think I realized, and I'm lucky I did this, I realized that I fully appreciated the historical significance of what was going on.
Yeah.
I think some people kind of miss it because there was, but I got to really, this is world history right now. So I think that made me find it a lot more interesting. I was obsessed with it. And then high school started. And that whole fall semester was crazy. Kind of look back a little bit. They said it was going to be out for 2 weeks. Then they extended it another week.
Yep.
So it's 3 weeks. Do you remember the day that we got out for the rest of the year?
All that time period's just a blur for me, honestly.
Sitting there, watching on TV, and the governor had a big speech, and everybody kind of knew what was going to happen.
Oh no, I do, because I really liked ASL at the time, American Sign Language. I remember watching the announcement because there was an ASL interpreter, and I wanted to learn it, so I just watched the ASL interpreter. I was sitting in my living room. I do remember.
And it was like the end of March, and we get out for summer vacation, and I thought that was the craziest thing in the world. And then my dad always told the story before then how they got out for 2 weeks during the blizzard of '93. 2 weeks out of school. I'm like, well, I got out for like 8 months.
Yeah.
So I mean, no snow day is ever going to come and do what that did for us. We missed more school than anybody.
Yeah.
So we can always say that. But 9th grade, we went back for 2 days a week. It was like A day, B day.
Yeah.
And I was B day. So Thursday and Friday, and I really, really enjoyed that. Because I got to experience like a Friday feeling. Thursday, like Monday was a Thursday, and Thursdays are great because the next day's Friday. So I really enjoyed that schedule, and that lasted until December when we went virtual again, until almost February, which is almost a complete year.
Yeah.
That we were almost out totally. But ninth grade was very strange, and then in the spring of 9th grade, you had some personal challenges with COVID that changed the way I looked at it. It wasn't up until that point, it had seemed like a national and global issue, not a personal one. And then it's the only time in my life I've been able to directly take something that I've watched on CNN that day and live it. So that was, you realize it's not just numbers on the TV screen, it's actually affecting real people. So that kind of brought that back into perspective. But that whole time period was absolutely crazy. I stopped running during COVID, which when I came back for cross country in the spring, that was horrific.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrific. That was COVID. I probably rambled, but
No.
that was my COVID experience, and it hit at a very pivotal point for us. Between the ages of 12 and 15, that's a big growing up period.
Yeah.
So I think it was very influential in my life as I went into high school.
Yeah. A lot of people's parents lost their jobs during COVID. Did your dad experience that?
My parents Mom was sent home with my sister at the time, and Dad was pretty busy with work. So when his job, COVID had a busy effect on them. So no, at the first part of it, he was at work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Because he had to be.
Yeah.
So no, we were blessed in that aspect that we were still stable through that period. So yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on middle school, a little bit of high school. Walk me through that first normal day of your 10th grade year, where you kind of had the feeling that you'd be back the whole year. Were you happy, or did you want it to go back to the A to B day or even all virtual instruction?
I'm happy now.
Yeah.
Um,
But were you happy then?
was happy then? In a way, yes. It was refreshing. Running was normal.
Yeah.
That was my second favorite year I ever ran.
Yeah.
I met Samuel Collins then, which was huge for me. Became great friends with him, one of my best friends, Samuel. Had a ton of fun that 10th grade year. A ton of fun. That was probably my easiest year of school ever. Loved it, but that first day back, after my uncle had passed, I was tired of living in that time. Up until that point, I kind of did what I wanted to do all the time, and I kind of liked that. But after experiencing that and the pain of what COVID can do, and I didn't want to live in that anymore. And I never really wanted to begin with, but I did just get comfortable doing what you want to do all the time, and I guess I did too. But I was happy to go back 10th grade. I want to say I'm going to read all day, but I got over that quickly. So no, I was happy to get back.
You mentioned you found the coursework easy. Why is that?
I think 10th grade, they call it sophomore slump, and I never really found a slump, but I think the work's not as hard. Just simply as I don't know why.
Think maturity?
I think so. I think you're growing up, and you're not taking the harder college courses yet, but you're more mature, so you're handling that high school course load a lot better.
You think driving could be a part of it? Having some more confidence because you can get a learner's permit and drive a vehicle?
That was a huge thing for me. The first time I ever felt like I
remember when you and Amy got your learner's permits, and I was horrified.
Not because of me.
Not because of you, no, but because Amy would be on the road driving, and I just thought it was kind of strange. Because at the time, I was only a little bit away from getting my permit myself, and I really had no idea. It just wasn't really a thing on my mind. Yeah. And when you got it, I was like, huh, that means I get it soon. And then that just started a chain reaction of thoughts.
No, I love driving. I've always loved driving. So that changed the whole year for me.
Yeah.
It opens you up to not just having to leave from practice when your mom picks you up.
Yeah.
You're going to start home. You can go with some friends and go out to eat. Or you can stay longer at the creek. You know, it's just the independence. And I think that they just don't expect that much out of you in 10th grade. They don't. I mean, it's kind of it's the last grade where everybody's still, that next year you get the people with the associate's degrees, do their own thing. And then from that point it's going to, of course they have advanced classes. But you have PE in 10th grade.
Yeah.
So you're still
driver's ed.
Yeah, you're still in those classic high school courses.
The math classes are all integrated too.
And I enjoyed that a lot.
So I've heard you talk a lot about math and how you really enjoy calculus and Miss Goads.
Yeah.
How you were proud of what you were able to do in pre-calc. You did poorly on a few quizzes and it kind of shook your confidence, and then you worked hard to bring your grade back up.
Like the first quiz, I got like an 80 on, and at that time was a C.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
I guess you're right, but I knew I was going to bring that up because it's the wrong one.
Right.
But
you
I was nervous.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why I did that because I was nervous too, because I hadn't had a math class in almost a year. Yeah. Because that fall semester in 10th grade year was the last math I had. Yeah. With Miss Laura Davidson, which is another great teacher.
Yeah.
And I heard a lot about Miss Goad. I was nervous to have her because she's a little bit different in a very good way. She expects a lot out of you. But I don't know. She treats you like an adult. She does treat you like an adult. So I was nervous and I worked hard. I was there. Miss Goad is very, very quiet. And whenever I talk to her, I feel like I'm almost putting her in like an awkward situation because you just get that vibe. She's a very shy person. She can be very nice and very talkative too sometimes, but when you don't know her at first, it's different. But I went to her class every morning for 30 minutes, just had her workout problems. Because I just wanted to make sure I knew it. And I finished class with a very, very high A. And I was very, very proud of what I accomplished during that course. Because that made me realize that even though I might find something hard, course-wise, that was one of the first courses I'd ever really found it. Not hard, but where I had to put in some effort to it. That boosted my confidence a lot. Really did. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that course a lot. So.
Yeah. I was just kind of curious because I've always known you as a big history buff.
English, I love to write. Yeah. I love history, I love to read. Math is never really, I've been good at math.
Right.
I've never enjoyed math. So that was,
I just noticed that a shift kind of when you took pre-calc and you were talking about it, and then more when you took calculus, you started to take ownership of being strong at math.
Yeah, it boosted my confidence because before I took pre-cal, I got good math grades, but I never felt like I knew math. Pre-calculus, especially after calculus, confident in my abilities to learn it, to do well in it. And I think if I have to take it again at college, I think I'll do pretty well in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never considered myself to be a math person until here recently. I don't think I have a real mathematical mind. And really extremely analytical mind. It's in that sense. In some senses I do. Verbally I do, but in math I've always been a little bit different. But I do think I'll agree with you there. Taking those courses really did help me a lot. Math.
And I kind of mentioned this a few minutes ago, but you've always been interested in politics and government.
Absolutely.
Do you remember when that started? When that interest was kindled?
I've always been interested in it. I remember when I was 4 or 5 years old, that was when the war was going on in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I would watch the news. And as you're 4 and 5 years old, everything Army is, that's really big. And I was watching on TV, and I was really interested in what was going on. And I remember when the day Osama bin Laden was shot. I was young. I remember watching on TV, and the lady I was with, my babysitter, talking about it. So that's another early memory for me.
Yeah, you've been 5.
Yeah, so
4 or 5.
Very early. I've always been proud to be an American. I was raised that way.
That's something that's not common anymore.
No, I was raised that way. I'm very interested in the world, too. And it's not an us versus them mentality, but it's your home. And it doesn't mean everybody else's home in the whole world is bad. There's beautiful places in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, every country has beautiful places and beautiful people. And if I was born in that country, I'd probably say, this is the best country on earth.
Yeah.
But I just think taking pride in your home is extremely important. And, I might say that's the best country on earth, but I really do think America's the best country on earth. Like, actually. I think you take all those cultures from all over the world and you bring it here. And we're able to have ideas and innovate in a way that no other country in the history of the world's ever been able to do before. And it is a great experiment on democracy. And I was able to realize the importance and how special America is early on. So when I had the opportunity to learn about its history, I hopped on it. And from a very early age, I was reading history books and watching documentaries and doing that stuff. And it just kind of festers. I was introduced to the History Channel, and that's when the History Channel actually had documentaries on it. It wasn't just American history. I remember watching about the Peloponnesian Wars in Rome. But at a very early age, 6, 7 years old, and that just sparked that love of it. And if you introduce something to a child early on, they're going to grow in that, and that's what I've done since then.
A lot of our classmates will talk about how America's such an awful country and how they hate it so much.
Yeah.
And then someone will say, well, if you hate it so much, why don't you move to country XYZ? And like, oh, no, I would never do that.
Do we have problems? Yes.
And every country does.
We've always had problems.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's why people don't know history. That's the problem. Have you ever heard of the Civil War? we've had problems before. We've had major problems. Major problems. You know, when I started reading David McCullough, I mentioned him in our first episode. That really changed my views on America in a very positive way. Because you do hear all the time people talking this, and that. But David McCullough made an interesting comment. He said, you know what people said back in the 1700s? People have always said that. They've always said that, but we're still here today and we've survived. And I think that American spirit and that American gumption will carry us through.
He has a book called The American Spirit.
American Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about perspective. And people say they're going to leave. Well, you know, you have every right to. And if you want to leave, that is your choice to do so. I'd rather stay and fight for what I feel is best for the country. Because, you know, can it be dysfunctional? Yes, but at the end of the day, it's yours. I mean, I don't like that mentality. I don't think it's constructive or conducive to our prosperity. At the end of the day, it's an individual's choice, and that's theirs to make because they have the freedom to do so in America.
Yeah.
And that's
the whole point.
That's the whole point of it. So, I mean, it's your right, it's your freedom. That's their choice.
Let's talk about your favorite educator. Golden Calves happened a couple weeks ago. It's where the high school acknowledges the top 10 students of the class. You were 7th, is that right?
Sixth or seventh. They don't really ever really tell you for sure.
Yeah, they acknowledge the top 10 students. You're one of them.
Yeah.
You chose Miss Donna Ogle.
I did.
You could have chosen any educator you've had in your entire educational career. Why did you choose Miss Ogle?
Miss Ogle was the cherry on top of a really, really, really good cake. I loved the people at Carroll High School. They cared for me. They cared for my education, and they always made me feel welcome in a home. And that heightened a sense of community for me. People like Kurt Sumner, who had on the podcast, and many, many others. But Donna Ogle was the person I had for 3 years at Carroll. my 10th grade year, and then all of my 12th grade year. Senior year. She loved books, and she really loved what she did. And you can tell that when she taught. She taught me how to write in a way that nobody had taught me how to write before. And she really made me feel confident in my ability to speak, and to write, and to translate my ideas in the written word. She brought a passion into class that made me passionate about what she was teaching about. And I had experienced passion teachers before, but I was really interested in her subject anyways. I love books. I love to read. I love English. So it was almost a perfect storm for me. So she is my favorite educator I've ever had. She respected me as a person, and she could also have really, really deep conversations. And she would stop class too. She realized that just because you have something scheduled that day doesn't mean you have to get it done. Mm-hmm. That there are other educational opportunities that are presented to you throughout class period that you might have to stop something that you have scheduled, but that the students are going to learn more if you sit there and talk about something. Maybe not about grammar, but about deeper topics, life topics. And she realized that, and we did that very, very often. So I really, really respected her. I respected the way she taught. I respected how she was very open to exploring different topics, and even very tough topics. So yeah, that's why she's my favorite teacher.
A couple of months ago, you mentioned that you really felt that writing was one of your strongest abilities.
I think
that
so.
You think you can write better than most. And when do you think that shift in mindset happened?
I think I'm an above average writer. I enjoy it. And that shift really happened. I've always wanted to write. Remember when I was a child, I wanted to write a book so bad. I really, really wanted to write a book. It was a little bit juvenile, yes, but I've always had that interest. I've always had the interest in it. And And that was fostered by Miss Ogle in 10th grade. And especially as I started taking college courses through WCC and to get my associate's degree, that's when it really, really sparked off. Because I had to write a lot, especially this past year. That's mostly, most of the assignments was writing. So that really heightened my confidence in it. And taking a sheet, Miss Ogle, increased my confidence because she said, well, this is good. This is good. And if it was bad, I'll tell you. And then sometimes when it wasn't the best, not the best, but sometimes if I had stuff that I needed to fix, she would tell me. And I realized, oh yes, that's much smoother. So taking those courses really helped me with that. And it's something I never want to stop doing. I've thought about starting a journal, which I've been thinking a lot about here recently. I mentioned earlier that this kind of connects with the love of history, love of writing, reading. David McCullough is one of my favorite authors. And I've read this book before, John Adams by David McCullough. It's about the Founding Fathers, and I'm going to start it again tonight to reread it because I think it's important. But those men, they were great men. They were real men. They had faults. They had very big faults, but they were also very, very important and very, very smart. Very cunning. And they wrote. They wrote about their lives. It helped them express their thoughts, helped them work through things in their heads themselves. But it also preserved that history for their posterity. And I think that's important. And we live in a very digital world, and I understand that. But to hone the art of words is something that they valued, and they created this. So it was obviously important, and that importance still rings through to this day. So that also has an effect on why I love to write, because I do realize that it is very important. And if you write something down, you're going to think it through. You have to think. Yeah. And I think that's something a lot of people kind of get out of the habit of doing today, is thinking. Yeah, when you're putting down the paper, you're having thoughts. You say, should this be written down? And you're working through stuff yourself. So that's really that book and other experiences like that heighten my love of writing. So I do want to get into journaling, actually. I do want to continue to write outside of school. So hopefully, you mentioned someday I'll become a writer. I don't know if I'll ever become a writer. I don't think so, but maybe someday I'll become a great writer for myself.
Do you think there's a value in the physical record over digital?
And there's been a lot of studies on how the brain processes information.
Well, the studies will say physical's better, but you personally, what do you value more?
Well, Ethan, you just opened up a can of worms here. You know, I love to feel a book in my hand. I love it. It calms me down. That's something about reading that I've always enjoyed. It's always been something that's been very calming to me. Now, some people don't like it, and that's fine. That's you, but it's something I've always relaxed with. Just to feel it, and it's a way for me just to decompress. I got a Kindle Oasis 2 years ago that I really, really love, and that's digital. And I read the Lord of the Rings on my Kindle, which is on a digital version. And I got just as much out of it as I think I would have anyways. My heart will always be with physical books, with the paper copy, because it's classic. It's classic. But I have no problem reading digitally. It's convenient, and it feels kind of cozy too, because I can be on the beach and have 10,000 books right here. I don't have to decide when I leave my bookshelf at home up here what book to take. Because by the time I get onto the beach, I'm like, I wanted to read something else. Yeah. I can have my entire library right here. That's very valuable. To answer your question, I enjoy both. I like physical better a little bit though.
How do you feel about audiobooks?
Oh, geez. Some people say that it's reading. Some people say it's not. Is it reading? You're not reading the book. I've never said that. People say, well, it is reading. Some people, okay. If you're blind, absolutely. Or you have some kind of impairment, yes. I'm not degrading it. Audiobooks is, I think it's very beneficial. So you're thinking, you're listening. That is a very good thing. And it helps people who are busy digest books if they have children, if they have busy jobs or a long commute, or if, like I said, they have some type of physical ailment where they cannot physically read. And some people just like audiobooks, and I get that. You know, it's like somebody reading a story to you when you were a kid. You enjoyed that. And I have no problems with audiobooks. I get it why people like it, because they can relax and take in a story and listen, have somebody read it to them. Or they might fold clothes and do it. Audiobooks are a great thing. Is it physically reading? It's not physically reading. That shouldn't be a debate. Your eyes aren't reading. But you're consuming a book. You're consuming a piece of art. You don't have to read a painting to get something from it. You know, you can look at a painting. It's a piece of art is what a book is. And you can get just as much from the art, I think, listening as you can reading. I enjoy reading because it calms me. But yeah, I've never gotten that debate. Personally, with audiobooks, I can't do it. Because when I'm reading, I'll stop and I'll think about something that's going on. Something that might not even be with the book. But something will like remind me of something and I'll start thinking about it. Or maybe I'll start thinking about the book. The audiobooks, and I have tried audiobooks. It's not like something I haven't tried. I've tried. But I'll find myself just thinking about something. I'm like, oh yeah. And then it'll be 5 minutes later. I'm like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that's the books I've already read before. So, no, I really, really wish that I could consume audiobooks. I'm jealous of people who really like them and who can get that, because I think it's something that, like on runs, I think that would be a great asset to me, or long drives. I would love to do that. Absolutely love it, but sadly, that's just the way I'm wired, so I can't do it.
I think it's interesting because I'm not an audio person either. We have this podcast that's audio, and we're both big fans of podcasts.
Yeah.
At least I don't have any trouble. I can't speak for you. I don't really have any trouble listening to a podcast.
No.
It's just different for some reason.
It's very different. Very different.
So,
that is strange. I haven't thought about that in that aspect before, but you're right. It is strange.
A lot of my friends will listen to podcasts or they listen to audiobooks sped up. Do you do that? Do you listen to podcasts at 1.5 times speed or 2 times speed?
No, not podcast. I will for videos for school, like class videos for my college, because I can get just as much from them. Because sometimes the people in those videos speak really, really slowly, and I can take notes on 1.5 or 2 speed and get just as much from it. Podcasts, no. Because I like to sit and relax and listen to a podcast. And it's almost like you're part of the conversation, too. And that's very kind of, especially with Alex or Rogan, you get very comfortable with it, and it's very conversational and calm, and I think I can gain more from it if I listen to it just regularly. It's relaxing.
I was thinking about it the other day, and podcasts are really art, right? It's an art form, digital, auditorially, and by trying to speed up the art, you're trying to speed up the podcast, you're kind of disrespecting the art, I think. And I think you could say the same about an audiobook. When you're trying to rush through something, you're not giving it time to mature and appreciate in your mind. And I don't, if you wouldn't listen to it on 1 time speed, why would you listen to it at all?
Yeah, I get, because you're not going to be able to understand as much. You're not going to be able to, your comprehension is going to lessen each time you click the button to get faster.
Yeah.
And you know, there's days I say audiobooks, your comprehension isn't nearly as high. And that's more factually and scientifically based. But if you're enjoying it, That's all that matters at the end of the day. I mean, if you do you, the only thing that will counter that argument is you can do more.
But
you have more time to do stuff. But if you're doing stuff, if you're rushing stuff and not really getting the full impact of it, why rush it at all? You know, I used to have, when I was 14, 15 years old, I'd have book goals for the year. I'd try to read so many books. And I would I don't do that anymore. I used to like to read like 100 pages a day or so many hours a day. I have like this, now I'll just read to enjoy it and get something from it. And I think the books I read now, it's less than I used to read because I'm busier, have more responsibilities, have a relationship. But the books I do read now, I get more from. I take more with me. I appreciate it more. And I've read more favorites in the past year than I've had in my entire life. So, I think quality over quantity.
We've had this podcast for 14 months, 15 months now.
15.
Maybe almost 16.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot. I know I have.
Yeah, absolutely.
What lessons have you taken away from the podcast? What have you learned from it?
To answer that question, have to look back.
Okay.
Me and you always had great conversations.
Yeah.
We always loved the art of conversation.
Yeah.
And podcast and people who did it really, really well.
Yeah.
Because you can do conversation well. And today I'm kind of rambling, but it's my episode. I can ramble if I want to. Yeah. So I love to listen to podcasts. I love listening to people talk. Interesting people. People who have stories to tell. And then I realized, looking at people right here, these people have stories to tell too. There's very interesting people right here. Mm-hmm. And I got tired of sitting at school and not everybody looking at their phones and nobody talking or about anything interesting or having any conversations. So I wanted to I was almost jealous of people in the podcast who could have really deep and connecting and meaningful conversations with people. And I wanted that for myself. So when you talked, it was in February. And I was more lonely during that time too. I don't know, it was just a strange time for me. And I wanted to make those connections with people. So we just started doing it. It was almost like a whirlwind. Happened fast. And within a week we'd had an episode or two out. Yeah. We came up with the idea on a bus ride, and nobody thought we were going to do it. Yeah. This is never going to happen.
Well, look where we are.
Look where we are now. I'm very, very thankful for that. Very thankful for that. What was your original question?
What lessons have you taken away?
What lessons have I taken away? We've interviewed many, many people. I've taken away many lessons. Many different types of lessons. Mm-hmm. I've learned how to talk to people. People I don't know. I learned how to, you shouldn't do that in everyday life. You shouldn't just meet somebody and then ask them a very personal question about their life. Don't do that. What it has taught me how to do is become personal with people in a professional way. Mm-hmm. People I might be intimidated by. Many people, the first time I've ever talked to them was 5 minutes before I asked them about their parents, about their childhood, about their earliest memories. Mm-hmm. Very personal questions. So it taught me how to open myself up to people and become comfortable with strangers. That's what it taught me. Life lessons. I learned how important people's faith is to them, which strengthens its importance in my own life. Because you can go through your everyday life and not think about stuff, but you realize when you ask some of the most important aspects of people's life, that's it. Most of all, family and friends and love, how much people, professional people, congressmen, Grammy winners, I know, award-winning novelists. Mm-hmm. Their professional life was very important. But we spent most of the interview talking about
Personal stuff.
personal stuff. And that really brought things into perspective for me. You know, you can chase a lot of stuff, and following your dreams is good. But blindly following that, some notion of grandeur or, you know, fame or notoriety or importance, and giving up, you know, deep connections and love and meaningfulness on a whole much deeper level is not worth it all the time, always. You see important people and you find out what's important to them. And that's been a real lesson that I've learned here. And also, to kind of go back on everything a little bit, I've enjoyed everybody that we've talked to.
Yeah.
And we've talked to some important people. But taking those people and realizing that they're just people.
Mm-hmm.
They talk like me and you. They get up and put their clothes on like me and you, and they're just regular people.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of build up people in your head like the Congressman Griffith.
Yeah.
A very nice interview, very professional, very honored to have been able to talk to him in that way.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest experiences of my high school career. But, you know, you look at a United States Congressman, you're like, wow. You respect the office. I always respect the office. Mm-hmm. But then you talk to him, you're like, well, this is just a person like me and you. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing. And that's been also a great lesson. A great lesson I've taken away from it, that people are people.
Yeah.
People are very important, but they're very important because they're human beings. Because they bleed like you and me. They love like you and me. Their lives are important, not just the jobs they have. And that's a very important lesson I took away from this experience.
Is there anything you wish we would have done differently?
All the great questions we never asked.
Yeah.
That could have opened people up.
Yeah.
All the opportunities that if we had pushed harder in certain areas that we could have gotten people on
Mm-hmm.
or talked to. Could we have made it bigger? Sure. Interviewed a lot more people? Absolutely. But I look back on the people that we've talked to and the connections that we've made, and that's a big word I've said a lot, connection. And you know it when it happens. When a person opens up to you or cries or starts talking to about something that they didn't come expecting to talk about, but that they want to share. A piece of their life with you that makes it all worth it. I don't regret that for a minute. Not a minute. People talking about tough things in their life.
Yeah.
Because you take a person, and we talked about stories earlier, history. Let a person tell their own life from them. Almost like an autobiography. You know, how do you want it told? Not somebody else telling it, how do you want it told? And they have the opportunity to tell that. Highlight the things that they want to highlight and let people know what they're about. And I feel like we've got a good taste, and everybody that we interview, a unique taste of who that person is. So I wouldn't, there's not much I would change. Not much I would change.
We're ending the podcast with these last few interviews. Are you going to miss it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. Being excited about talking to somebody.
Yeah. It's
almost like a first date every week. And Laura, if you're listening to this, I'm not having a first date every week, but it's kind of like that. Which with my first date with her, I think the podcast actually helped with that. Because, I don't know if she realized this, when I was asking about her parents and siblings and stuff. I was kind of doing what I was doing with the podcast. And it kind of worked, so. I'm most definitely going to miss this. Because I got excited for when we were talking to people. I got a job through this. I met interesting people through this. And what saddens me is all the interesting people we never got to interview.
Yeah, me too.
That makes me sad. But I can also look back at what we did do. And in 40 years, I can look back. Once a lot of these people are sadly gone, look at how we captured a moment in time here. In this short period of a year, where these people were at, what they were doing, in their lives at that moment up to that point. It's like a really crazy 100-hour time capsule.
Yeah.
Almost. I'm most definitely going to miss it, though.
Something to be proud of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's something to be proud of. Not to toot our own horns, but we did something that people weren't doing around here. That seems to be going out the window and kind of almost taking it back a little bit. We saw a problem, so something that we did not like,
Yeah.
the way things are going, and we tried to find a way to fix that ourselves. Not fix the entire thing, but to take back an experience that we thought that we were missing out on. And I think we took that back pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of that, like you said.
I don't know about you, but it kind of gives me a sense of empowerment that we set out to do something hard, and then we did it well.
We did it well. We did it well. And it's sad to see it go, but me and you will still be good friends. It's just, we both have full-time jobs now. Family, relationships, school starting.
Yeah.
Life happens.
Yeah. Quickly.
Quickly. And like John Lennon said, life happens while you're busy making other plans. And that can have a few meanings. Love that life is craziness. I mean, everything's going all the way around at once. And also that you should enjoy it while it's here. It's not going to last forever. Good things don't last forever, but bad things don't last forever either. And this was a good thing. But schedules are crazy. And everybody's growing up. And it's time to move on. But yeah. It's just time to move on.
You're coming to a pretty pivotal point in your life.
Yeah.
You graduated high school like 2 weekends ago. You graduated college 3 weekends ago.
Yeah.
You've achieved an educational status that the majority of people probably in the United States have not accomplished.
People around here have a lot of college degrees. I mean, it's just, or that new program at the high school, you're able to get it very early.
Right.
Which I'm very thankful for.
That's unique. Do you have a sense that what you've done is special?
Not special. I've worked hard. But a lot of people have worked hard. I didn't have to go get a job immediately and work in the evenings. I was very fortunate that way. Some people didn't have that. There are people who didn't get their associate's degree who worked a lot harder than I ever did. And I realized that. I also realized that I was given that opportunity by Carroll County and by Whitfield Community College. They had that program at the high school. I took advantage of that opportunity. I'm proud that I took advantage of the opportunity. I'm proud that I worked hard through it, and I was able to achieve that for myself. Personally, I am very proud, but do I think I'm special for that? No. I saw my classmates do it, my great friends, my good friends, my best friends do it and succeed at it, and I'm proud of all of them. I'm proud of myself. Special, I think it's a special opportunity that we were presented with. I don't think it makes us special people, but I think it's a special program that I'm thankful for every day that we were presented with. And that's one of the reasons why I love my home. They paid for half of my college education. And they moved me forward in life by a good little bit. So I'm very thankful for that. I think it's a special county, a special group of people that gave us that gift. And that's what I perceive this thing. That's very special.
Something Dr. Burnett said at the commencement ceremony was that Carroll County needs the graduates back home. He said he wanted to go out, live life,
Yeah.
have experiences, and then come back home and settle down. Does that align with your life goals?
It does. Should some people always come back? No. That's it. I've always loved home. I always loved to come out here in the evenings and listen to. There's some lawnmowers, but even that. I feel like we live in one of the most prettiest places on earth in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. In the wintertime when it's not snowing, I've always said it, get a little bit depressing, but in the summertime, it's just, in the spring, summer, fall, it is drop dead gorgeous here.
Yeah.
The people. It's been interesting as I've grown older. When I drive through Main Street, Hillsville on 58, I recognize people.
Yeah.
Every single day, I see people I know, and that's hard to find.
Yeah.
When I see 3 or 4 people I know just going different directions, that makes you feel at home, makes you feel safe. And he said, come back, because most people leave.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I love my home, and I don't want to see it fall by the wayside. Could I leave? Sure. Do I think it's wrong to leave? No, I don't think it's wrong to leave. Do I want to? No. No. I feel safe here. I love it here. I miss it when I'm gone. I want to see this area, my hometown, continue to be here. I don't want home to go away. That brings kind of around to a sense of community. I feel a great sense of community here. At the Labor Day Flea Market, at town concerts, at parades, my family's lived here for hundreds of years. Since the Revolutionary War times, and even probably before that. We know they were here during that time because they fought in the war. So my family's been here for a long, long time. And I think the roots have grown pretty deep here. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I'm going to say go to Blacksburg, but Blacksburg, it looks just like here.
It's in our backyard.
It's local. But no, I don't want to leave. And well, he said come back here because it needs you, because it does.
Yeah.
It needs people. It needs smart people. It needs young people. It needs people who want to work hard. It needs to prop it up, to keep it up. I would agree with him with that. Now, does that mean everybody should? No, it does not mean. But if you have an inkling that you might want to call this place home, then I would try to make it work. Because I'm going to try to make it work.
What does that look like for you? What are your career goals?
I've always been interested in government, so I'm going to school for. The legal aspect of it is very interesting to me. I'm having a lot of personal experience with that right now that I'm very grateful for, that I really do think is a life-changing experience. One of the biggest life changes in my life. Does that mean going to law school? Maybe. I do want to hold positions of leadership in this county. So that's a goal for me, a professional goal. I want to raise my kids here. I want to have a family here. I want to be buried here. When you say you're too young, well, I don't feel young in some senses. I feel like I don't have a lot of life experience in that manner, but I think at this age you can know what's important to you. So that's what it looks like. I want to be involved here in some aspect.
Your degree will be in public administration or political science.
Political science, government, and government. I'm more concentrated in the government aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Public admin.
Are you worried that you'll be forced to work in government or law? Do you think you'll ever want to branch out and do something else?
Well, people get caught up in degrees.
Yeah.
You can take a degree that's not related to what you're doing and translate it well.
Yes, you can.
A lot of law enforcement officers or agencies love people with cyber or IT degrees. So just because you have that piece of paper, okay, you can't be a medical doctor or an engineer, but if you want to get into business, you can branch out into stuff. If you're hard, that's the thing. If you're willing to work hard, you can make it in a lot of different fields, in a lot of different places, and switch stuff up. I've always been interested in government, and I'm working for the government now, and I find it very, very interesting. And the idea of public service is interesting to me. So I don't think I'm going to be pigeonholed into that, but that's what I'm actively trying to go into right now. So I don't think if I do get into government, I don't see that as an issue. But yeah, so I don't think so.
You mentioned to me that part of the allure of a government job is job security and having that stability to provide for your family. Do you think in the future you would take a risk and take a job where you won't have that security, but you have the potential to do something unique? Do you think that entrepreneurial spirit will lead you in a direction away from security? Because whether we recognize it or not, I think we're both a little bit entrepreneurial.
Yes, and that's not a bad thing at all.
No.
And to the listener, don't ever let anybody tell you that's a bad thing, because it's not. It's a great thing. I think if I saw an opportunity that I could still provide for my family, or if my wife had a job where we could take that risk, and it's something that I would really think that I was passionate about doing. If I saw an opportunity where I give up security for something that I wouldn't, I'm like, oh, well, maybe. You know.
I guess
no,
the question...
I would not. If I saw something where I'm like, yes, I could work hard and make something out of that, I would, yes.
I guess the question I was asking is passion or security? Because a lot of people work jobs that they're not passionate about but provide security. And I was just, do you see yourself being happy in that role?
About your family and about the relationships you built with them, with your spouse, with your children. That's something I always want to be passionate about.
So work isn't everything for you?
No. And I feel like even if my work was work and I went and did my job and, had conversations about the water cooler and worked from 8:30 to 4. And I had that love and that family life. I could do that. Now, if I had both, if I find passion in government, in law, and have that too, that's wonderful. That's the ideal, is really, really enjoying what you're doing, but also having your own little world personally. What would be, I don't think wouldn't, I'm the type of person that needs that. Some people don't have to have a family. Some people don't have to have relationships, but I've always wanted that since I was little. So it is for me. Now, if I had passion about my professional life and I was lonely and I didn't feel that love, I don't think that would be good at all. So if it came to it, would I pick having a passionate personal life and having a very stable job? Yes. But if I can be passionate about what I'm doing in work and have my own family, then that's the goal. That's the goal. But if everything was still stable, and I would chase an opportunity. I would. It'd be crazy to say I wouldn't, because I feel like I'm ambitious.
Yeah.
That's just how I'm wired naturally. There is that. Just go out there and just send it.
Yeah.
See how far you can. But at the end of the day, you got to realize what's going to make you happy. Life's not all about your title or, professional status? No. Because you can have you seen Citizen Kane?
Mm.
You can have it all. Live a fruitless life.
My dad often asks the question, do you work to live or live to work? And I think that's interesting. I don't think there's a right answer, but I think it's something that each person has to decide for themselves. And I think you work to live, and you don't live to work.
I think so. Yeah. I want to feel importance in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I want to work hard.
Yeah.
Anything that I do, I want to work hard at. I want to take pride in my profession, whether that's doing whatever I end up doing. So I'm always going to work hard. But just because I want to have a healthy personal life doesn't mean that I'm not going to work hard. It just doesn't mean that I'm going to forsake everything for some dream or notion that I have. It can also mean that I value other things besides work. Which I think there's a whole lot more to life than what you do for a living.
You mentioned your work.
Yes.
Part of the reason you got the job was the podcast. You met your employer through the podcast. We interviewed him.
We interviewed the Commonwealth attorney. It was a great interview.
Yes, it was.
I learned a lot.
One of my favorites.
And I was able to. I realized that interviewing him, that is something that I could be interested in pursuing when I got older. That line of work, law, and maybe even a position working for the Commonwealth on the legal side. I wanted a job this summer, not only to make some extra, gas money to help with school, but to also learn something and build a professional skill. So I applied there. I got it, and I'm working at the Commonwealth Attorney's office now, and I've learned a whole lot. It's new. It's exciting. I'm working every day of the week. I'm working a lot, getting to see a lot, learn a lot of real world experience here, working in an office. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity. I'm very thankful for them giving me the chance to come and work with them. So yeah, that was a huge opportunity for me. I'm glad I took advantage of it. Starting my first day of work, y'all were still in school.
Mm-hmm.
I had to wear a suit and got there and worked all morning, and went and got lunch for myself. And I was like, it was the first time in my life I had truly felt like an adult. Because I graduated that Saturday and started work that Monday. And I felt grown up. I felt really grown up. Which puts things into perspective for me. I didn't feel like a kid anymore.
Do you regret not working previous summers or working through high school?
No. I think this is a really cool first job. I'm more mature now. But I got to go out with, I played sports.
You were a kid.
The fall and spring. I didn't feel like a kid at the time, but now, yeah, it was kids. I mean, came home. I had a lot of schoolwork. I was taking a big college load, but I got to go with my girlfriend every evening and do different stuff. And just did a lot of people work, yes, and they enjoyed that. Some people had to work. I'm very lucky that if I did, I would have, because I've chosen to. But I'm glad I started working when I did. I just think it's really cool what I'm doing right now. I think it's unique, and I hope I haven't talked about it. Told everybody where I'm working too much in the past 2 weeks, but I'm happy to be there. I'm really happy to be there. I'm really enjoying it. So I haven't talked everybody's ear off about it. But yeah,
It's a good opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks good for resumes and stuff. I think it's really good experience working for the government. I've always wanted to work for the government, So kind of leave school, and school is, I've always felt school is almost like a stationary period for me. I really, really enjoyed it, but it was almost like the platform for the train of life. And I was finally able to kind of hop on that train and enjoying the ride so far. We'll see how everything turns out. But.
You mentioned your girlfriend.
Yes.
I know her. She's a little Sutphen. I've had a few classes with her. She's very intelligent.
Super.
What's something you value about her?
I never thought I'd meet love of my life at a young age. She's very mature. Very, very mature. There's always going to be growing pains. I won't answer your question on that, but there's always going to be growing pains because you're growing up together. When we started growing out, I feel like a totally different person than I do now. But we're closer than I ever thought you could be with someone. I love her more than I ever thought you could love somebody. I've always loved my family, but it's different. It's different. From the very beginning, I've always, I'm not a ladies' man, but I've always wanted to get out there, and I learned you can't force stuff. Now, I didn't know that till I met her. Met her on a trip. You were there.
I encouraged you to ask her out.
Yes. Yeah, you did. I looked at her, thought she was cute, and I said, I need it. I immediately liked her. Immediately. I never felt that before. Ever. And you told me, you said, you're either going to marry her, y'all are either get married or you're going to hate each other. I think that was kind of prophetic. But, yeah, it would be wrong not to talk about one of the most important things in my life. Because it's changed the way I look at things. I realize there is more than just what you do. I haven't felt lonely since. And to build something with somebody is beautiful. It's really beautiful. To have that connection. I talked about connection a little that we've made with the podcast, but it's so deep. So deep. I think she knows me just as much as I know me. Myself. Because we've been going out for 15 months. And I see her almost every day. We didn't start out that way. We didn't start out that way. We started going out once a week and then 2 times a week. And it just built up to now I see her all the time. All the time. And I like it that way. I never want it to stop being that way. And that's how I know I'm in the right place. And I just love her just as much as I do myself. And, is it the right one? I was worried about how do you ever know? How do you ever know? You don't. I don't have a doubt in my mind that I won't marry Laurel Sutphen. I don't have a doubt in my mind. Because it's an unconditional love. I started realizing that last August, a few months before I met her daddy, which I'm ashamed of, but I met him, but really got to sit down and talk with him. And he says, hey, listen. He says, I just want you to never hurt her. And if it came down to it, I would want you to die for her if you could. Yeah, that's what I would want. And I didn't have to think about it. I said, sure. Because that's just what, I didn't, because I would. And that's when I started thinking, well, hey, you need to start taking this a little bit more. If you feel this way, start taking this a little more seriously. And I did, and, she doesn't get talked about enough. One of those unsung hero types. Which, in a way, kind of, I like. It's almost like a little, it's like if there's like a really nice beach that nobody goes to. Yeah, it's perfect. You know, it's like your little secret, but that's not the way it should be. She needs to be talked about. Very, very smart. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a different person. Sometimes that can be difficult to deal with. I know I can be. Sometimes eccentric. I'm not the easiest to get along with. Some people might not like me right off the bat. I try to be kind. I try to be professional, but sometimes I guess I have an air about me. Some people just don't like me. But I never had to be anybody else with her. And if somebody can like you for exactly how you are, and all the other things that nobody else likes you for, and they like you for that, or they value that, I think it's funny, or they see that that's just you, and they like that, and heck, it's hard to get people like you. I didn't set out for it to be like this. I never would have imagined it would have ended up where we're at now. I mean, I can't imagine. I never understood what that meant until now. So, but yes, and you know, I haven't always been the kindest person. That's something that she is. Very, very kind. Very, very gentle. She cares about people. She cares about everybody. And it's made me feel more compassionate. Because things I would have never thought about with people's situations or why people might be acting that way. So, well, look at it this way. Why can work me through that? Because she can feel for other people. And that's extremely, extremely attractive. And she's a very pretty girl, but that's her kindness is one of the things that attract me to her the most. Funny, can I have a conversation with. Very, very funny. But yeah, just generally kind.
Do you think she's changed you?
Yeah, but not changed me. Changed how I don't know. She's made me a better person. She's made me more in touch with what I really think. Because you get caught up in all this riffraff and trying to impress people, and I don't have to do that with her. I can be who I am. She hasn't changed who I am as a person. I'm still Luke. But that is what I think is a hallmark of if it's right. You don't change each other. You change each other if you have better, you magnify good qualities, and you might change each other in a way that's very, very positive, like you learn how to love, which I think I did with her. I don't ever thought I'd learn. I don't think I knew how to love someone. I think she's changed me, and I don't know, because you asked me that question. It's hard because I'm still the exact same. I'm not the exact same person. I'm still the same. I have the same personality and all that stuff, but I think I'm softer around the edges. That's the kind of rounded me out a little bit. Made me a more well-rounded person. But the thing is, that I'm talking about this a lot because it's one of the most important things in my life. It matters to me more than almost anything, pretty much anything. And you got to learn how to. It's taught me how to work for a relationship. It's not going to be easy. Two people are going to clash. Gosh, we've clashed sometimes. But never stop loving her. And we always say sorry that you love each other. And that's important. And learning how to to have something and disagree, sometimes disagree a lot, but realize that the base thing itself is so much more important than what's going on right now. And having each other's backs. Because I promised her, and she promised me that if we're around anybody that ever says something negative, I shall always stand up for her. She'll always stand up for me. I don't care what, if she's wrong, I always try to, well, hey, listen. So having each other's backs and realize you're on the same team, and having like a team aspect of it, because that's beautiful that two people can be there for each other, no matter what. So trying to put everything into words. About the past year of my life would be very, very hard. But when you know, you know. And I know I don't have a doubt. So I just can't express the love I feel for her. An age-old love story, I really do. I'm so glad I took some chances and made it happen. I remember that weekend with you. It was a fun trip, and I went into it just trying to get out of school for a few days, and it ended up being a monumental change in my life. And that's the scary part about it. You don't. Sometimes the biggest change in your life, realize it.
Yeah.
At the moment, and you realize, oh my gosh, what if I just gave it all away? Didn't. Because very easy not to. Very, very easy not to. I wanted to have her on the podcast. I'll try to talk to her about some, but when I got my chance to talk about her publicly, I will. I will. I think she's one of the prettiest. You better keep all this stuff in the episode too. I think she is one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen. Electric blue eyes. Electric blue eyes. You got me going on the wrong topic. But if you got any more questions about it, just ask me.
Do you think your parents served as a good model for what a relationship should be?
I think so. I really do. Had a lot of fun with each other. It's obvious. Laughing a lot at each other. And that's very important. I laugh all the time. Learn how to cut up, but also when it gets serious, not quitting. They never did. I never will. And some people say, well, you're young. All right, I'm young. But I'm also 18 and have a full-time job at the prosecutor, so I think I think that connection is much, I think it's timeless, ageless, and I think they did serve as a good typeset for me. But no, it's just kind of skimmed over the whole episode, but extremely important aspect of my life. Extremely.
I've toyed around with an idea in my head that a person is the sum of their previous generations, all the people that came before them, because their parents made them, their parents' parents made them, their parents' parents' parents made them. Do you believe that's true? Do you think you could be the person you are today without your parents?
Well, absolutely not. No. Sometimes I'll look at the things I say, and I tell mom and dad this, but out in town, I'm like, oh my gosh, my dad has said the exact same thing. And I'll say it just like it. And so, of course, they have. My grandparents, yeah. Great upbringing. They have, absolutely. Let me think about future generations too. What effect are you going to have on your children? One of the things that draws me to her is she's making an excellent mama. An excellent mama. I can't think of someone who would make a better mother than this she would. Have that trust there. Like that. And thinking, well, who do I want my kids to grow up with? They have to grow up with me, so they might as well grow up with a good parent. I'm joking, but my parents most definitely had a major role on me. And as I get older, I'm realizing that more and more. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
Parents are important.
Yeah, they are.
You have a lot of hobbies.
I do.
The weather's one of them. You're a Skyward Advanced spotter.
Mm-hmm.
Just last night, or 2 nights ago, you were texting me about a storm.
Yeah.
And we were talking. I remember Coach Delp, John Delp.
He got me into it.
He got you into it, but you kind of just flew with it from there.
Yeah.
Why does it interest you so much?
It's powerful. Something that we can't control. I've always loved nature. I've loved being outdoors. And I've always loved looking at the sky. Look right there, look at that. That is, do you see it, the cloud?
Mm-hmm.
Magnificent. I think the sky and the clouds, especially severe weather, storm clouds, I think they're the most awe-inspiringly beautiful things ever. We have a lot of beauty here on Earth. And I love to travel to national parks and see the mountains and stuff, but I never get the same feeling as when I just look up here. I think this is supremely beautiful. So that kind of I've always thought that. And I was scared to death of tornadoes when I was little. So I mixed a really kind of a fear of it, because you can't stop it.
Yeah.
It can come and do anything to you that it wants to, and you can't do a thing about it. You can be safe, you can try to have precautions and stuff, but it's awe-inspiringly dangerous and powerful, but it is also awe-inspiringly beautiful. So mixing that kind of fear with interest and attraction, well, there you go. Yeah. That kind of makes it a lot more, it gives a lot of spice and flavor. And I've always been interested in government, public service, so there's an organization, a government organization called Sky One. I become certified. Mm-hmm. And you're not a meteorologist, but you're a storm reporter. You're the eyes and ears of the National Weather Service on the ground. And they save lives, especially out west. Yeah. When tornadoes are very, very common. Around here, it's more damage reports, lightning, hail, even sometimes tornadoes, but sparing land, snow measurements, ice measurements. You're just helping out, and it makes weather more interactive. You have a role in it, which is very, very neat. Mm-hmm. So yeah, weather. I just like to sit outside and look at it half the time. Mm-hmm. But it's something I don't want to pursue as a meteorologist. But weather's always been a part of my life, and it always will be.
Mm-hmm. Are there any hobbies that you would like to pursue but you've never had a chance to? Oh
gosh, there's a ton of stuff. I'm interested in a lot of stuff. That's the thing about it. If I see somebody else really interested in something, all of a sudden I'm really interested in something. Hell, I would like to play the piano. I love bowling. I like to journal, like I mentioned before. I've been thinking about a lot. I like to mountain bike. I started out of that field because I loved it. I like to swim. There's a ton of stuff that I want to do. A whole lot of stuff. It's hard to really pin down, but I have hopefully have time to do it. So, yeah, absolutely. There's stuff I want to do.
You used to play the guitar when you were little.
I did for 4 years.
Do you regret not continuing?
I stopped it so I could run. And running's had this monumental impact on my life. But I've always loved music. I love music. I listen to music all the time. So music's always been of real interest to me. But I do miss it. And so sometimes I still go down here and pick some and mess around with it. But I think once I get older and 20s, 30s, I think I'll probably pick up some type of musical instrument because it's really interesting. It helps people think and explore their creativity in a way a lot of other stuff doesn't. And it keeps people sharp too.
Yeah.
Older people, as you get older, playing a musical instrument really helps you keep that sharpness to your brain. So yes, I think it's something that I will eventually pick back up, whether it's guitar, which I would like to play again, absolutely, or something as like violin or piano, which is two of the things that I've, especially piano. I've in the past year I've been really kind of interested in that. So yeah, good question.
We know that you're planning on running the Yeti 100 in
I am.
September.
I am, yes, September 29th.
And it's a pretty ambitious goal. It'll
Yes.
probably be one of the hardest things you ever do in your life.
That's what we're hoping for.
What is your mindset in the months leading up to the event?
Really, it scares me. Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It seems like,
I'd be worried if it didn't scare you.
yeah. I've always liked a proper challenge. I've mentioned this a lot, great Americans. You look at all these great Americans who had gumption and went out and tried something hard and did it. Like going to the moon or flying across the world or going out west. Having that spirit of, we're going to go out and get it. I've always valued that, and this seems like a good way to kind of foster that feeling. Like we're going to try something that seems to us almost insurmountably hard and see if we can do it. Mm-hmm. Could we fail? Absolutely. That's a possibility, but we're going out to try to see if we can accomplish something big. And if we finish, I'm sure it's going to be a life-changing experience either way. Mm-hmm. And I can pick that and go out and give it our all and see what happens. Mm-hmm. But we're not going out there to not run 100 miles. Me and Samuel Collins and Ronnie Collins, I'm going out there to finish. So that's the mindset I'm going out with. Mm-hmm. So.
Do you expect to finish?
Do I expect to finish?
Okay.
Yes, I expect to finish.
Do you believe you'll finish?
Yes, I believe I'll finish. If I said no, what's the reason going out there and doing it? Yeah. I can see I can see myself crossing the finish line right now, and it seems so real to me. I think it's a premonition.
Are you going to be on your hands and knees crawling across the line?
And I've thought about that a lot. I've thought about crossing a lot. But you don't think about that when you're doing it. You don't think about crossing. That's not why I'm going out there. It's going to be a whole experience of people that I'm really good friends with, and we're going to have a good time. It's going to be hard. I think about the race when I think about it. I've thought about finishing a lot, yeah, but when I think about us having conversations and us talking and stuff like that. So I'm excited to have a good day with my friends and experience something hard in the sense of, and it's an event and there's a lot of people and music and stuff. I'm excited about that. So I'm excited for it, yeah. But I'm going out with the mindset I'm going to finish. So I have to say I believe I'm going to finish, yes.
Do you believe that you're going to train properly?
Training right now.
Do you think it'll, deep in your heart of hearts, do you believe that what you're doing right now will adequately prepare you for the event?
Yeah.
He's whispering no.
Or am I going to be totally prepared on day one? Oh no, not day one. There's only one day. Probably a little bit longer than a day.
It'll take more than a day.
Than one day, but
yeah.
If we can get sub 24, that'd be great. But could we be more prepared? Yes. I've ran for years and years. I know what it's like to hurt. I don't know what it's like to hurt like that. But I think I'm mentally ready for it. I think my body can handle it. I'm healthy. I'm getting miles on my legs right now, keeping myself in shape. Doing strength training, trying to gain some weight, put some energy on. Put some pounds on to gain energy during the race. So yeah, I'm actively preparing for that role on race day. But if I'm saying I'll be totally prepared, I would be wrong. Because I'm not going to be totally prepared. But I'm going to go out with the best, what I've got, and try the best I can to be prepared.
If one of your teammates has to drop, are you going to go with them? Or are you just going to keep on chucking?
We've talked about that. If I dropped, what would I want for Samuel Collins? I want him to finish the race. And I know he'd want the same for me. So, we're a team. And if he finishes and I don't, I'll be very, very proud of him. And if I finish and he doesn't, well, I would have never went out in the first place if he hadn't been there with me. So, we'll help each other win. And even if one of us doesn't finish, we'll still help each other win. Or finish. We'll still help each other. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to be But knowing me and him, as long as he's out there, I'll be out there. And as long as I'm out there, he'll still be out there. So we're bad for each other in some aspects, but in that aspect, we're ride or die. So I'm excited for that.
Describe your day-to-day life from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep right now. What are you doing?
Well, I'll wake up. Some days I go for a run early. Or read. Go about 6. Get ready about 7:15. Leave the house about 7:45. Sometimes I'll have breakfast with Laurel. Sometimes not. Summer she likes to sleep in. Just great. Work starts at 8:30. I don't really go into work, but she'll come up and eat lunch with me, and about an hour in the middle of the day, and then 4:30, go to her house so she comes over till nighttime, and then once I get home or she leaves, I'll read, relax, go to bed and do it again. I'm really, really enjoying my life right now. So.
There's a book that you enjoy, Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury.
Yes.
It's about growing up. And right now, you're in this moment of time that's unique.
Yeah.
Like special. You will never have it again.
No.
Does that scare you?
If I say I wasn't scared right now, I'd be lying. I'm scared. Of course I'm scared. In a good way. I'm excited for what life has to hold. I'm scared to lose the social structure I've had. The people that have made me feel at home, like family. I'm scared to lose Laurel. Really scared to lose her. The song Landslide by Fleetwood Mac has been on my mind a lot here lately. I've built my life around you. Children get older, and I'm getting older too. And that's breaking up the lyrics, but just that song really kind of sums up the whole, what it kind of feels like to be kind of entering out into a world that you haven't been a part of really before. But yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared. But I also look at life, and I want to enjoy every phase of my life. But it is a special time. It's a special time because it's a transitionary time period. I'm just starting to be able to do all the things I've always wanted to do. I've always felt independent, and now I'm able to live with that.
This podcast is kind of special too because we're able to capture this moment for you and for me.
Absolutely.
And when we're 80, you can hopefully come back and listen to it. What would you tell yourself in your 50s and 60s?
What I tell myself? Well, I guess I'm talking to you, Luke. I just hope that, I don't know. You valued your life. That you've loved the people that you have. Loved them hard. Treated them well. Hope you're happy. Hope you're happy. You're not always going to be happy, but I hope you're content. You have joy. You have love. And, yeah. Hope you still look forward to the future.
And this question is kind of similar, but if you could go back and talk to 4-year-old Luke, what would you tell him?
Don't worry. I've always been more of a highly strung person. Things work out. That the future's not as scary as you would think it is. There's a lot of good stuff coming down the line your way. There's a lot more to look forward to. You should be really excited. I think so.
I guess now we can kind of get to our trademark questions that we like to have.
What about my family, Ethan?
You just talked about your girlfriend for an hour.
Well, I'm going to talk about my family in the future in 50 years, my posterity, my descendants.
So you talked about that. You said you want to have children with Laurel, and that you think she'll be a wonderful...
No, I'm talking directly to my family. We'll all be dead by that point. I'm talking the next 80 years.
Jesus, okay.
I hope you do not skim my section, my chapter in your textbooks. I hope you, if you don't skim them, I hope you really try to learn something from it. I'm talking to my family in 40, 50 years. I love you. I love you now. Not even here, but say if anybody says I never loved you, well, I always loved you. Let's pray for that now. So called it here.
Yeah. And then comparatively, you don't really have that much life experience, right? Compared to your grandparents or even your parents.
No.
But you do have some.
Yes.
And you've done some pretty cool things with the life that you have lived so far. If you had to give someone our age some advice, what would you tell them?
I'd say value the people around you, your friends, your family. Lean into people and let people lean on you. Don't be afraid to work hard. Don't be afraid to put in some effort into stuff. And to be proud of what you're doing with your life. Or be proud of, you might not have it where you want it right now, but that today you can change that. You can, in an instant, you can be working towards the person you want to be. That it's not too late. You're just starting out. You got a long ways to have you, long beautiful ways, but you can do it. And to be proud of yourself and to really commit to stuff. Commit to yourself and to your work. That's what I would say.
What does God mean to you, Luke?
What does God mean to me? It means love, unconditional love. The type of love a parent feels for a child, because that's what it is. Safety. And no matter what happens here, what's going against you, you have a backer that is greater than everything else. What's that mean?
And this question is a cliche, and I'm sure you've been thinking about it for the past 15 months. I have, not just for the podcast, but for me.
You I really haven't.
No? It's interesting because it's something that I look for, but we can talk about that in a few weeks. But what is the meaning of life to you, personally?
I've thought a lot about this question.
Okay.
No, I haven't thought about it. Nah, I've thought about it, but I haven't thought about it. Because I said I really don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
I've thought about, every time I've thought about it, and I've tried to think about it, the meaning of life to me. People have lived, and people have died since the beginning of time. The people on this earth right now are just a tiny fraction of all the people that's ever been here before. And it seems that people live their lives based on other people's constructs for how they should live them. Once you die here on this earth, the sun will rise and set tomorrow, the day after you die.
Yep.
The school buses will still run, the mail will still be there, people will still go and eat burgers and get pizza and watch football games, and you'll be dead.
Yep.
And it was that way before you got here. So the meaning of life is important. The meaning of life is living a life that you feel that you want to live. To love. To enjoy it. To enjoy it. Live a life that you can say, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm happy with my time here. And that I don't see it as a waste. I feel like the meaning of life is being content with it. The meaning of life is realizing its ups and downs. The meaning of life is to sum it up, the meaning of life is making the most out of it that you possibly can for you and for the people that you love and respect. That's the meaning of life to me.
Luke, you're one of my closest friends.
Yes,
We've done a pretty cool thing.
we have.
I'm proud of it. Hope you are. And I know that no matter where life takes us, if we continue to talk regularly or not, we can always look back on this and acknowledge that we did something that had an impact not only on our lives, but on others. And I would like to think it was a positive impact.
Absolutely.
And no matter what, this time in our lives is connected together. And
there's proof of that here.
And there's proof of that. And there will always be proof of that on the internet forever. So, yeah. Luke, I would just like to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for putting up with me for the past 15 months.
Ethan, I can say it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me a chance all those years ago running around that neighborhood loop. I appreciate it.
Never forget it.
And I can honestly say that I would not be the person that I am today without you. So,
well, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been good.
All righty.